on what the princess built with all her heart. Mrs. Eleanor said, her voice full of emotion and despair. She pushed a thick stack of documents toward Charles Spencer. The papers, yellowed with time, carefully recorded every sum of money and every project Diana had supported with all her heart. Charles Spencer took the file, his hands clenching so tightly that his knuckles turned white. The pain of losing his sister years ago surged back like a tidal wave. He remembered Diana, the strong sister, who always fought for social justice despite enduring countless storms herself. Now that legacy was under serious threat. Anger flared up and he plied his voice low but resolute with determination. "My sister deserves to be protected. We will not let things continue like this." Mrs. Eleanor left with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Charles Spencer remained in the library, flipping through the pages under the dim yellow light. He knew this decision would stir up many storms within the royal family. But he had no regrets. For Diana, for justice, he was ready to break years of silence. After the emotion inside him mixed with profound sadness and a heavy sense of responsibility. This was no longer just a Spencer family matter. It was about truth, justice, and loyalty to what Diana had sacrificed her entire life for. "I will examine it carefully, Mrs. Eleanor. We will clarify everything Charles Spencer's, cross-referencing schedules, cash flows, and administrative decisions." Each night, sitting alone amid stacks of documents, William saw the disturbing picture more clearly. The changes were not mere management oversights. They were systematic, intentional, and directly impacting his mother's charitable legacy. Camilla's of unusual attention from Camilla's office. Why this fund? Why right at this moment? He wondered with deep anguish and great responsibility. His determination grew stronger. William knew he could not ignore it. He immediately contacted a group of independent auditors he trusted completely and began a quiet but rigorous internal review. He requested additional evidence from various sources which had been the focus Diana pursued with all her heart were cut or delayed without clear reasons. "This is not a random error," William said in a low, angry voice during a private meeting with the audit team. He clearly sensed the coldness of power infiltrating what should be sacred and humane charitable work. Memories of his mother surged strongly, making him covered. Large sums had been routed through programs managed by the Royal Household Office before reaching the fund. As a result, the actual amount received by the fund was significantly reduced, only a small fraction of the official figures. Projects supporting children's health care and programs protecting women, public trust in the royal family. With quiet support from Charles Spencer behind the scenes, William continued expanding the scope of evidence collection. He requested additional checks on travel schedules, meetings, and written directives. Each piece, falling into place, made the picture clearer and more alarming. This was no longer a vague suspicion. The evidence pointed directly to intentional intervention from Camilla's office. William understood that this investigation could lead to unprecedentedly large conflicts. But he was ready to face them. For Diana, for the truth, and for the future of the royal family he would inherit. The review commencing to the public. In the following days, Camilla's office continued strengthening its defensive barriers more tightly than ever. Statements were meticulously prepared, word by word, emphasizing good intentions and the common good of the royal family. But the more they hid, the more invisible cracks became detectable. William and his investigation team were still quietly collecting every remaining piece. The confrontation between truth and the effort to conceal was entering its most intense and dramatic phase. After many weeks of tension, William was not one to give up easily, and Charles Spencer was standing behind his nephew with high determination. Still, she hoped time and power would help everything gradually settle. She believed the lack of physical evidence would make all accusations vague and unconvincing. Could not hide her joy. She cried upon hearing that the fund had been fully restored. Princess Diana must be smiling from heaven. The children and the women will continue to receive help, just as she wished, she said in a voice original purpose. She was required to return all redirected money and immediately eliminate the inappropriate interventions. The atmosphere in the royal family was extremely tense. Camilla appeared with a weary face, but still tried to maintain her composure. She understood that her reputation had been seriously damaged. This was a costly lesson about ambition and power. In contrast, Mrs. Eleanor Hayes, the elderly woman who had bravely approached Charles Spencer's royal family than ever before. Charles Spencer, who for many years has always avoided commenting on the internal controversies of the royal family, has now decided to break his silence after an elderly woman secretly approached him with documents.
Now, these are devastating and truly horrific allegations.
A shocking revelation from Princess Diana's brother has created an even more tense atmosphere within the British royals she had kept hidden for more than 2 decades. She claimed to have managed a charity fund that Diana quietly supported and only recently discovered numerous irregularities. What concerned Charles Spencer the most was that professional and reasonable. No one could object immediately. She requested a full review of the fund's operations adjustments to cash flows and integration into larger royal family programs. On the surface, everything seemed aimed at improving management efficiency. But in reality, Camilla wanted to gradually redirect the fund in a direction she controlled. In just a few short months, many grants were skillfully adjusted. Some projects providing direct support to children and women core goals that Diana had prioritized were cut or replaced with more formal, easier-to-control activities. Money was routed through multiple intermediary layers with purposes gradually changed. Diana's original imprint was subtly faded. Warm, community-close projects were replaced by larger programs with Liz office officially intervened and carried out the restructuring. One former coordinator who had worked closely with Diana recounted emotionally, the princess always emphasized that money must reach those who needed help directly. She checked every detail very carefully. Now, everything is completely different from before. The retired still held deep respect and loyalty to the princess. They confirmed straightforwardly and sincerely the fund had operated stably and transparently for many years. Money always arrived on time, and projects were carried out as initially promised. Everything only began changing markedly when Camilla was even more determined to get to the bottom of it. To build a stronger foundation, William met with people who had worked directly with Diana in charity. The old witnesses, though, improved management efficiency. They absolutely denied any personal intent targeting Princess Diana's legacy. Camilla chaired an important meeting, her voice cold but resolute. "We are only doing what is best for the organization and the common good. There is no personalizing or targeting anyone." Continued quietly but relentlessly toward the moment when the final truth would be revealed to the public. When rumors about Prince William's investigation began spreading within the royal family, Queen Camilla quickly shifted to a strong and decisive defensive posture. Her office immediately went into full operation, with tension filling the air. Close assistants were urgently summoned to prepare official statements. The content was drafted very carefully detailed and skillful. All changes to the charity fund were only intended to... William took the file, his face showing a mix of surprise and deep concern. As the future heir to the throne, he always tried to balance royal tradition with the sacred memories of his mother. He sat down at his desk and began carefully reading every page Spencer had given him. The initial financial figures seemed normal, but the deeper he dug, the more serious irregularities he noticed. In the past 2 years, many grants for the fund had decreased sharply in an inexplicable way. On official papers, the amounts were still recorded in full, but in reality, much less reached the fund. Part of the money seemed to have been redirected to other programs without clear, transparent explanations. William meticulously compared reports quarter by quarter, year after year. The discrepancies were not due to random errors for her long-term plans. The room was quiet, with only the rustling of papers. Suddenly, she picked up a thin file, its cover slightly yellowed with time. As she opened and read it, Camilla immediately recognized it as records of a secret charity fund. The fund's name was not prominent, but the detailed notes is narrowing. She clearly felt the enduring vitality of Diana's legacy through the figures and projects supporting orphaned children and women victims of violence. Even after all this time, the fund continued to operate steadily and remained tied to Diana's image in the public's heart. This made her pause for a long time. This was precisely the fund that Princess Diana had quietly supported for many years without publicity or boasting. Diana had deliberately kept it hidden to avoid media and public attention, turning it into a truly personal legacy from the heart. Camilla read each page carefully, her eye overcome the crisis. She believed that without direct documents and specific witness statements, William's investigation would reach a deadlock and could not reach serious conclusions. "Without clear evidence, they can't do anything to us," she once said privately to her mostly confidential, for the common good of the royal family. They were reminded multiple times in a tone that allowed no argument or hesitation. Some felt uneasy, troubled and worried, but the pressure from above was too great, so they chose silence, a frightening level of silence. Camilla was confident that this cover-up strategy would work and help her staff who had directly handled the fund's files received clear and strict instructions from superiors. They were not to disclose any information to outsiders or to William's investigation team. This is an extremely sensitive internal matter that must be kept absolute. Had witnessed countless joyful and sorrowful memories of the Spencer family. Today, he felt heavier than ever. For many years, he had chosen silence in the face of a covert plan that has quietly altered the legacy Diana once tried so hard to preserve. Charles Spencer stood by the large window of the library at Althorpe House, the gentle afternoon sunlight filtering through the ancient trees. This place had traces of these changes appeared after the involvement of Queen Camilla's office, and they seemed to be affecting Princess Diana's legacy. Believing this was no longer just a Spencer family matter, he decided to hand over the entire file to Prince William for investigation. But will what William is about to discover be merely a management error? Operations right after Camilla's office began intervening. The original support money Diana quietly set aside for orphaned children and unfortunate women was no longer delivered as promised. Funds were redirected, purposes distorted, and Diana's compassionate legacy gradually investigation. Prince William finally completed a detailed report with full financial records, work schedules, internal emails, and statements from witnesses. The true picture emerged clearly and irrefutably. The report concluded that the charity fund had been systematically altered in its faded. William read the report one last time, his heart filled with emotion and indignation. This was not only a victory for justice, but also a way for him to one. She projected external confidence, but her eyes showed clear underlying anxiety and tension. She knew that if William dug deeper, things could become dangerous and completely uncontrollable. To protect herself and her solid position, Camilla directed a series of decisive, uncompromising measures. Some important destroyed, leaving no traces. There was no direct evidence proving who made the key decisions. Assistants were tasked with reviewing all data and removing any details that could be disadvantageous to her. At the same time, exchanged messages and meeting minutes related to the process mysteriously disappeared from the electronic storage system. Paper documents were also discreetly moved or distanced, while other activities received funds from non-transparent sources. She checked and rechecked the books, comparing every figure over many sleepless nights, and grew increasingly fearful. Diana's legacy was being quietly exploited. The money meant for compassion was being displaced from the money she saved with her own hands. But recently, everything began changing alarmingly. Mrs. Eleanor discovered that the actual money the fund received was much lower than the official reports. Strange expenses appeared. Some medical support projects were suddenly cut without clear reason, distorted and redirected toward other purposes she could not accept. "I'm old now, sir. My health no longer allows me to fight alone. But I cannot let people trample," her aged eyes glistening with tears. She didn't want anyone to know. She said that true good deeds don't need camera flashes or praise. She only wanted to help orphaned children and women suffering from domestic violence in the most sincere way. Charles Spencer listened, his heart tightening. He remembered his sister clearly. In a choked voice, "I promised the princess I would never reveal it." For 2 decades, the fund operated smoothly. We helped hundreds of children find homes, supported women escaping abuse, and provided medicine and psychological counseling. All thanks to her quiet help, the woman who always carried deep compassion for unfortunate lives. Diana had quietly supported this fund for a very long time. Not through grand galas or massive media campaigns. She transferred money regularly and sent short, warm letters. Mrs. Eleanor continued from high levels in Camilla's office. The timing coincidences were too obvious and suspicious. Before Camilla's interest, the fund had almost no major fluctuations. Afterward, everything changed in a systematic and intentional direction. Pressure during the investigation increased. William had to carefully balance protecting the royal family's overall image with seeking justice for his mother's legacy. Many nights, he tossed and turned with the documents, but his resolve grew firmer. He knew that if he did not see it through, similar behaviors could continue seriously damaging. William carefully recorded every statement, gathering additional documents, internal emails, and important meeting minutes. He ordered a detailed tracing of cash flows to identify exactly who approved major changes. The traces gradually became clear. Many key decisions bore signatures or direct directives. Diana's legacy must be protected, and he would do everything to bring the truth to light. A few months earlier, in the spacious and luxurious office at Clarence House, Queen Camilla was sitting amid old files transferred from storage. She had decided to clean up and organize everything neatly in preparation. Sudden interest in a fund deeply connected to Diana made him even more vigilant and resolute. "We need the truth, no matter how difficult it is to accept," William said to a close advisor in a private conversation. His voice was firm, carrying the heavy responsibility of both a son and the future monarch. Charles Spencer followed the progress from afar, hoping his nephew would clarify everything fairly. William understood clearly that this investigation could spark larger conflicts within the royal family. But he could not back down. Contacted a group of independent auditors of high reputation who were not affiliated with any faction in the royal family. The investigation had to be conducted discreetly but thoroughly, avoiding public suspicions. After receiving the file from his uncle, Charles Spencer, he acted decisively. With his power and position, William ordered a comprehensive audit of the charity fund's sponsorship records. He immediately corruption before clear results emerged. William spent hours in his private office, carefully flipping through reports and data tables. He requested full transaction histories for at least the past 3 years. The deeper he dug, the more serious irregularities he uncovered. His office, unable to stay silent any longer. Faced with irrefutable evidence, Camilla was forced to admit partial responsibility. In an official statement, she acknowledged that some decisions from her office and international public opinion spoke out in support. The public remembered Diana's image, the symbol of compassion, and expressed outrage at the interventions. Unprecedented public pressure mounted, leaving Camilla's had led to the misappropriation and redirection of funds from the charity. The independent investigation clearly concluded directives from Camilla's office had completely distorted the funds. That power cannot buy everything, and the memory of a great woman like Diana will endure forever. The story ends, but its echoes still resonate. The public grew to love and respect Princess Diana even more. Charles Spencer trembling with happiness. The charity fund quickly returned to normal operations. Cash flows were monitored more closely and transparently, returning to the original mission Diana had cherished. Orphaned children gained new hope, and unfortunate women found solid support. William and Charles Spencer stood together on a quiet afternoon at Althorpe House. The uncle and nephew did not say much, but their exchanged glances were full of understanding. This was a victory for truth, for loyalty to the legacy, and for justice. The British royal family was once again reminded that these actions were sowing seeds for a serious investigation from Prince William Diana's son. Her initial confidence was gradually challenged as the traces began to be uncovered.
Prince William could not sit still with his growing less of Diana's personal touch.
Camilla monitored progress through periodic reports. She felt satisfied seeing things going the way she wanted. However, deep down, Camilla understood her true motives. She did not want Diana's legacy to continue shining separately. This intervention was not just financial management, but a way to assert her position and gradually reduce the influence of her predecessor's shadow. The changes occurred smoothly, without drawing much attention, but enough to alter the fund's nature over time. Camilla believed her decision was necessary for long-term stability. She did not expect
A charity fund that Diana had quietly built. His voice was full of emotion as he spoke before the cameras.
My sister Princess Diana devoted so much of her heart to the vulnerable. She did it not for fame, but for genuine love, to protect his mother's memory. He knew that deciding to publicize the truth would cause a shock